ubeng tiget September 29, 2022. Mel altay magiri damla mo practice low seat belt sel dangara al selamlay dire kal suko mga ngangal kal ngario ra 6 argil engirel ngara car seat mal ubeng booster ang tingirel nga nga ngalel mang ngara al selamlay if you're under 6. Manggel winner segi di al car seat awarded Mr. and Mrs. Yoshihiro Ishikawa. Ang kilalang algir al 6-month-old Chihiro Ishikawa. Tirigegi di amlong usil car seat matamalorang asulela bentally to or matirigel family and friends rigi dal nga yang kilang marigel al tiram le donate taikal car seats ikapi esel car seats gida malmol diri kalong ita donation mga donation elabora pala Red Cross Society. Diri kal kutel te alaway sula sesel 28th Police Academy lania baseball tournament and fundraising at tiri te al nombre kal weekend al malmle successful mangmlo sabi iral raise although dal legaludo damol nga selom ara uniform at tir lunch when they're letir ka ulong asyor are bullies with patrol and other duties among ngogiw tiagi dial 28th Basic Police Academy mo si iral dal nga syor girela our ocean OOC coming up mang tikutel te level si akal mas kami ang clear marpakla adro ko bollo tingel mutir kay tirgel ko ngara Police Academy ilang nga Melissa Amalay, Worley Andy, Sway Blodak, Derek Lacton Faustino, Jeremy Mesa Guillermin, Tyson Sadang Inacio, Usterson John, Elijah Rablud Kasuma, Obak Math, Sigal Masang, Felix Marep Jr., Isao Miss, Amos Mitsuo, Jordan Mobel, Ryan Kabuy Ngiramanyor, Natasha Ator Oiterong, Mirna Palo, John Michael Pedro, Anthony Ngiramur Petit, Shiena N. A. Sato, Patricio Maskelkel, Pekla Iyeb, Lela Iyeb, okay. Mr. Matuola last name ringi. Mr. Beck at Matuol. And Rallinson Ubaday. Mal masara support kami lo artiral girela fundraising artir. Also mga ngerong city nga mal kora sorry ral malamol nga sew and civil contact ringel commander artiral Libu Gibbons at 775-1685. Tirka nga instructor sir tiral Sergeant Sabino Kyota, madiri kal Deputy Instructor Officer Joey Sumor, ma-administrate siya na assistant al Juno tirakla. So kung sara te alam lo so bekal mong klitiriak mal proud that really wanted to mention them. Diri kal tara kora malungil ay sa waseng nga Mr. Esilong Ngiraywet, graduate tra University of Rukyus with a Bachelor in Business Administration. Congratulations sa mga Mr. Esilong Ngiraywet. And tiri kal ilang mal introduce sa Detective Lieutenant Ngartyang, Mr. John Gabriel. Ebol sa PL, koradi mo kung sesel girela event coming up April 1. April 1, 2022, Friday. Mo commemorate their ultimate sacrifice. Ang kagidale Willie Mays Tawai, ma-early da rong. Girela balur pela. Mo celebrate 10th anniversary po si El koradi mo. Kung sesel.
Man musulang pais pa ministers dai sel silgo kol pal di bus tal tablete derul finest telo pa ko abotri bum ko kitaru le ko lo tre Agi mo mura program mamlo mura sel tutar fa Friday lo ba formation ma inspection boka boro kaya mo commemorate mo ano tira years of dedication ma service tira gilan sobra Czech Republic and untimely to puso wala magimo start sa gid si so bar formation pa inspection ma formation afternoon nagi mo o to walk and pigil ra plava police mo ra kurang drabing sa software field sa gid sil sa gid mon ga tournament tra ukora bukti dolam na to ra Q literal terul el police sa dire el dire di buste dire pag me atra Q sa gid sil sa gid dire wadi bo o melat ketir ay el guk temi ra pa service til bel sur kira bel kon sulak
Okay, madang masawla Detective Lieutenant Gabriele tia gagidagel events la longod adu ulgirela April 1 nga mo commemoration ra 10th year anniversary ra sige the ultimate sacrifice ra kagidali Officer Willie Mays taway ma Officer Early Taro. Okay. Mata mal masulang kong you may be excused tak mali kasi kamasang Detective Lieutenant. Mla mo o teme der elan morming say gagi dale ministry updates makma omura dele Minister Matuol. Oo, yeah.
Malungil tutaw Vice President, Ministers, maarugul other belaw. This wakal mo ko ra ako update rigid lagi lurior nga ra ministry rigid. Makmomu ra WIOA. Ang wakal mo mention ut mong ako te el time nga niya group lagi blam modakyar se actually nga niya tablol so all katributes modi. Sel WIOA nga tablol board ngi. Ngani sel local board, mga niya state board. Yagil tablol al-ad angar alel mingitigay yo ome sa kilorere tial WIOA. Angar alel sel local board implement ra plan el state board am developer ngi el lorio lobangel angel kok managing director malun tawo. Sel local board or lobangel tawo implement sel plan el blada set ngi. Sel plan typically ngi warak gida 2 years into that plan. Magimorurungir el anga because of COVID Amerika lambil kita te ele del mo review sel plan o mes pungregel ko kuram lo ngas ngase malubong kuram lo rubatak te el al last 2 years because of COVID mangaras el kuram modifier al sel segid el plan mauro ramra el al sil selubong gela minister udoy matim ringi matim rakamam el lobong gela gegid el board el lomes segel ko kora el kora baby raurior malubong agi assess segel statistics semne happen because of no de already are omes mungara kora bes el program el sebed el kora mo ngaseur tergege el adal mlode already malub tamle laid off el lobat telged el guk grant WIOA lomu ra probably June after abol mera gal to kora pua dire kal sual mo brief regid el nania sel WIOA el dire kan ngania blol betok agere vice president mung agel made ludo tamakarang ang rawrio ra WIOA matida briefing el guk plagi mul mlara tawo ngel guk kongara arselurior was el al time mlania al dadu lo mangela US Labor Department el mlongi tertik musel 5-page el reporting document tertir al sabede the modifying il dimo 2-page molbio tertirgel luguk adal dimla kal sabil submit application or til mo bioter til reapply jakal reapply wal assessor tir mong aldadur sa gidam laringi tamla ko ngi mang el al time tam mamrur sel application namle 5 pages el motoblol page motegi mo bioter adal el report ongeru ngetiang amor tirgel adal dom kodor tik mut seasonal claimants el ngilus el one el payment. Obis ergid AWIO el ngit mula kamam ko dortir el akobor obis. Tamatangit mo kom taang melal time ngani evaluation ma process lo meser tiro guip mong mo ngara tele lagel guk ngeswal mortir. Hindi ka kita suwakal announce ang gilil akmo sa press akmo mestrital wabiel mo mal mo komakay gel required lo labal may. They must provide a gross income information from January 2020 mo September 4th, 2021. A verification of gross income can be in the form of copies of checks received, invoices, ledgers, journals, and or written statements from the vendors, organizations, agencies, individuals that purchase the claimant's service products. Akmo mas kami ako makay lomsode lagi del required documents el mo prove mo ka amral luluriol seasonal emlo decaurerem emlo mataarbasum. Aktire ke vai sulso kalau ai sel kukta tera la flight morning flight tera aldo lo mungkin la China Airline morning one el flight el mera April 6 mang aldo o bangela miss ulay tul lagi dale SS el trigel guk mo subil mora Taiwan el referral patients material return. Aktire kal so mo ngani flight el Minister of Yang de lungi lagu ay sagel flight sa Manila. Kluto tira lagu ay sagel flights ngana Manila May. Lembato kar adala osiga te al malar adrir el foreign workers el May. Mensukal mo kataklil waseng agiol ngit mong ilakam molar the mel tourist bomb through a simple process. Como to the announcement ra the mew el waseng 30 days el kusigra waitress and whatever job the vacancy announcement require motabdi misal lapsi the local club say el amal process ra proper provisional visa kamilo mangala minister uduy mulsira the mil ngasko gilmay maktimas kami gel kukora gumeseng flights el maral may April ang anya April 1 8 15 22 mat 29 agebek alakal with Friday Mr. Obiang May nga niya 6, 13, 20, 27. June nga niya 3, 10, 17, 29. July 1, 8, 15, 29, 22, 29. August 5, 12, 19, 26. Agigil dates every Friday nga niya flight el May. Makmal mga madawra adablo rogut malsku nga niya admiul mabal May agigil open a transit through Bangladesh. Malangania admil ngara Bangladesh ngara ngut albulul motura Manila mege kita dates ul ilospe eber officer gidra labor mal motobdi announcement tergmiu legotel ginam lol tautringil ul bela wasel mugdosi gra adar bela ul momita gegi del lurior yaskum de gal du uler sig del logoder club say malu bangania ku kora engineer ng adam al to dengel mal de adar bela al moring la ania rolen se edel fast track gegi del processor kamiu dik malul ngit mera officer gid ma da don ngasir kamiu se last tangarnya la RPPL 10-32 ma 9-22 ma 10-34 ay gel la lol ngasir adra belaul mo subira kombalil employer tiras kum katiro badra PCC en sabiul double salary ngel ada didakter ngira GR tir kau mong seguida agora tara gel kuk ngesul gi mo olngoseura gel gombalit mo al sugum ngani adlas tilo gel PCC malum na rakyat team lo ba certificate ngi e ka hire ngil mara gombalir gaw en sebel olngoseura gara GR tir gaw kedidak gel salary tir mong ti sugal mo segi de vice last gel le adad ngara Dubai finally marma end the sel 6-month gora expo material amira first week ra April well all time at winding down ra gidale pavilion ra gid but the close accounts are tir e pagel restaurant lokle de oldu local me kopman sulang
Mataka wa ti alal ko kung sa minister state ang angaya announcement ngi so will be on this side of the table
Man saule vice saul mangututan mo kami other belar other media di one announcement na ka kagidile Adadra Peter Adelbai, ngara Japan Embassy, mom edara Tuesday next week, April 7 afternoon, di Morira Capitol. Geva, mom edara landing, he still has to present the credentials of the Emperor Siabal, which is not a fast process of the Mira Emperor mom edara, so it could take a month or two. Ding, say the announcement. Yeah, so you know, Peter, Adolbira, well, the Adolbira Adrairaimu. Say the afternoon, Amom Masum, Model Adolbira, Adrairaim, Kabram Sula.
So sel data for sel omingedar mo Ambassador Gidel Masyabal and Mr. Peter Adalbay mo Tuesday, April 5, 2022 at 2 p.m. Tari mo rin nga rule mo sila grounds sa office sa President. Thank you. Eladong mo Minister of Finance nga niya ako update rin. Shalom.
Hey, good morning. Thank you, Vice President, for chance to give a short report related to what Minister Mitul was saying. We are making some changes to the program for the CROSS Act, and we will be making an announcement shortly for those people who were previously under the WIOA program. And for those people who discontinued receiving funds from that program, will be able to apply to the CROSS Act office in Munes after our announcement. We did receive additional funding from OEK, and that will allow us to fund our existing program through June. And the amount of money we have available will be dependent on how many of the WIOA applications that we receive. So that is something we'll be announcing very soon. We're still finalizing the numbers, but we did receive additional money from Congress to use in this program. I don't have much to report on the Digital Residency Office. We are continuing to process applications, and we have received additional money. But nothing maybe interesting that the press may want to hear. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, so last little update. We'll hear from Director Cher from the Ministry of Health and Human Services.
Sulang Vice President Malungil Tutal Murarbekal Adaloreng Sertal press conference. The only update or maybe an announcement to all announcing in Murabalu was saying Mlarmut resume Michael Patser Gamam, Michael get a vaccination. For some time I gram lost lang mlo sa mam lo spera chim. Mang loyal bola kabasyo mang ngamurel al Friday ng Bekal Friday ra fodoril mo 6 story yagimru la a vaccine sel CHC clinic ra kamam across Ragoro Elementary School ra from fodori to 6 story so trial adrabul dirkal nga booster retir even if al dirkal nga ya first or second dose retir we still have vaccine available al more other rokoy makmal di encourage sarar adal wase en koramra la klol segadal may material dirkal nga booster retir please may mga booster ra kami a booster dirkal available al more rangal kal 12 and up marsugum nga rangal kal dirkal nga booster retir at this time mlambo temiril mala booster please mera Friday ra fodoril ra segidal clinic ra across Ragor Elementary School. Other than that, hindi ako mal-update nga I know was saying komal amalar cell weekly sit rep will provide igel cook number cases sel kita identify but kada tidul madangil was kada o mesage sergis ang kola maralal morio that's not to sell was saying kada lax cycle cook tora prevention dolomol will continue apply kita tora prevention. Kung di kayo dia sabel announce lang ang question is sabel.
So lang, Director Madraisaw. Okay, maldiwan raw irak turnover al mura media. Akti solo giutial press conference of course mrenga sulela First Lady Valerie R. Whip singgay dia Cher sele safe Committee, SAFE. Seatbelts are for everyone. Ngogiw segi dil committee which is a committee bato intergovernment agencies, mga NGOs like Red Cross, Palau Chamber of Commerce, Lunsis para alseling musabi edal logiw segi dil Safe Committee i-give out tayo car seats. Madi ko nga tial press conference sa loreng seringira dili kal ikrel belaw madi ka tungklir tigel donors na car seat sili tamal masaul mang bolo tingek masadal malmol malospe a car seat mang asil ko ka mo rulya another donation tigel lobengela ventilator ngara marigel nga Yosko Kodeb, Karet Martin, Joy Toribiong, Misty Malsol, Desi Rabay Suino, Hallie Sumang Bilinggia, Pangikoy, I don't have her name, Geraldine and Tangalbath, Candy Osima, Dela Dangier's Way, Diakon Aaron and Juliet Ramangsaw, Lorna Nabayama Garrity, Madel Kyoto on behalf of Islanders for Christ Youth Group, Antonia Newton, Michelle Craig Notel, Google Masters, Velma Orucon Benson, Kelly Rulugod, Ivan Butler, madili kal nga anonymous mledone talgirel sa igidil car seat tam togyuti daw nga sulir for malmalat karangal karapa abalur bela and their support. Adim legegi di elan sa that turn over ma medium for their questions sa kamsulak.
Tayo Vice President ko ministers Rebecca Laaf. Agri ka mo Director of Public Health. Director Tilob Cell Basel Directive. Kami mluk tulad din mos modelo sa siyang mulmongral girela tial mask requirements.
Okay. So, Cell Directive 40-22 tilaw dara last week. Tiyak amal klaro sa ringim Cell previous Cell Directive. The only difference is with the directive tilaw dara last week and no longer we are requiring outdoor mask. Hindi agi mandate outdoor mask. Indoor mask, direct kalda the mandate ringi. The only time kada mo mandate indoor mask, azuguma indoor gathering is 50 or more at. Okay, kada direct kal mandate mask wearing ra school regardless of was it telal adang ra classroom, marogul medical facilities which include ra hospital, may rogul private clinics, may community health center. Ay gaya require indoor masking regardless of was it telang ra adang ra alsel. The all other indoor gathering alsugumong 50 or more ko mask if 50 or less and di mandate ringi. We recommend it. So what it really boils down to an individual choice. We're not requiring alsugumang less than 50. So really recommend the law saying you can wear a mask to protect yourself, to take that extra step to protect yourself. Ayaya PSL Mlot Mursel Directive last week.
Follow up per se gele tilang extended more sel do you more gele office building sa other government tatagin nga this question government offices take for example post office or obliabulis di mo your ministers atang tama.
Oo, isang mga maldi mo yung degi mandate business, ma-obis. The only time that mandates come in, also may gigidal indoor gathering, more than 50 or more people.
Kaniga, clarify, kaniga mo ay lobbies na government. Of course, private tadali yan. Nangaring ay gele, hindi kasi met mo na post office ay sumukumas. Kami, so kung hindi ka mandate na government, itilang bulak mo. Nga choice na kakapura post office sabihan hindi ako mask katang.
So the directive adi akal mandate ra government facilities except the hospital nga ring mass gathering of kirem low mask of tura a government facility. It hindi akal lang uklar al sel say because we're not targeting luaseng rangal building, we're just going by the number of people nga al sel pasyo.
Di mo te question nga kal directora sera January la start ti al search en kata amne sendrawan ra sample mo ra CDC luasay tiang rarak tel Omicron variant ang nakmel. Siya lang wa result ngi quite curious to know.
So, Malmö, the mga apologize le hindi ka capacity del mula sequence mogadol do local mura CDC. So it goes through the Hawaii State Lab and then it mura a CDC. Al timing diral officially announce a Minister of Health el waseng ay ang klelel variant because sa kada dirang bingila confirmation. So hopefully by next week most of el mga confirmation. I know waseng bato ka to al sila community waseng B1 and B2 but I let's wait for the confirmation na CDC also el announcing so that it's accurate information.
Why siya gidan malbato ka to waseng ngaring ya bladong result. And din dira ka to Ministry of Health na to.
Why sila gimila confirmation na CDC.
Tamlaw ay selmel waseng marunga confirmation.
Oh, it's Omicron and then we have to wait till waseng B1 and B2.
Okay, so lang. Akla mo. Vice President ang tiang agel girela trip pra president. Na president amlo trip din ko na dakato ngel kami mo ais luasay tial trip pra president ang ngal trip ang mlo mitra wataang ang ra mo at-ataw etro wataw la banggelel mo.
Man masaul adi sabi ka lo ay sani wase terwat ang aul bangelel mo endi ering kagi dal mira next year kumboto tingak masengara ko ramal mle mokte kara trip partir adi clothing nga kawasing la trip Mr. President lo bentria other olvira lulaw mle senators sangabaw mas senators suno from the Senate edire kalul banggelang kagi dali delegate Ralul ka ma-delegate Marino from the House of Delegates at mong matripal bang tri other olbira kalulaw ding dakat siya kalo is masengra mle alenti ako I mean o ma Minister Victor Olbanggel mga Minister Victor di exactly clear was ang ramle what was the trip about madolong ito madal mera next week about ko ram tingin mulom so din
Saule Vice President awan nakari ka kita di elbang alugura our ocean conference agar tidak kora di mengira kabelmento asel kukura mo brief gitra tele tiang el asel dora rablu ngali o mengi gitra blu tara olang luasi kata meter tial time. At this point in time, ikato ko ram na mo betangel wasi terwat ang akora VIP selme setu se VIP sar kora olom te kabelmento rabebi rablu mlame malu tu kora argester gitel ko rarwa Leonardo DiCaprio ame ay kang ngani abla ngay ngak lang list si mi share el all time
o masala Mr. Casole ramal ungilal karim ak mo ngul masang minister of state minister ay tarong policy el responding kay gidi ako ra ngi ma minister Victor tiya kita terul ko ra ungara arsel lurior os
masara karime Mr. Kasole del work protocol working group our oceans kamahmal di dilo man critical bilateral partners material international government intergovernmental organizations mga UN so far hindi kagi mga tukol may masit nga niya guest ruwa hindi kagi at blem mention artir tila nga bay di mo adra Stephen Victor Minister Victor sa so, nga area artir kama makukti ng artir ada government officials so lang
hindi ka kurang clear adra governmental may
for example nga niya Prime Minister Samuel May ding deka di yura a flight may especially mal challenge at typical protocol COVID-19 when they return home ma flights man dire kan fully booked so gida nga niya presenter FSM May ding I can get final list gimil mo Friday siya cut off and we'll provide you a list maybe next week. Kasi tumal heads of government sa Merbelaw.
So lang, hindi mo tulit mo raw erak mo tial may sa. Next mora Minister Tourism. Minister kam ko na dio Iceland kato ko ra na mesra teletay rabul adol ko ra na mo is up to ko ra travel. Mang osengel bela ra mo tul ko om ko tial to ra tourism Wangara outlook ni how ngara ka do messing ila.
Alam sula kami sa malungil akadim. Rior continuously obon critical partners sergi dal outsider belaw. Di na mo blakatakal mo Taiwan tara destination el domisening diakabol mreedal open el arak. Mang ulan direk el mring la dola flights leng dirgakal ease up agel regulations ertir. Mang as a matter of fact require other belaw 10 days el ngara korawal self home management or quarantine raw eral borablu. Even though gidam na completely open ma protocol gidam na mobayot di sige dal kukuan destination na so kal mo teklik mo Taiwan ada kada open ringi simply for tourist ra Taiwan. Si actually tara ko to klol harbor tourist tergi dal ngara Europe, Mamrigel, ma Australia. Sera pre-COVID and over 60% of passengers at China airline actually hindi kal adra Taiwan. Tara adal ngara Europe, ma Mamrigel, ma Australia. Lang quick turnaround. That said, agi ko ramla refocus dagim sal concentrate ra Taiwan lang. Hindi ka malmol ngarinya relationship with ma China airline make sure ngarinya regular flights al kasingil lang 1 month. Make sure our patients sergi da referral malmol maran ma Taiwan. Anik salgi mo misring lang Korea. Ngarinya al dadu ongoing possibly start at charter flights in mura Korea. Unang mla niya Zoom call nga kama Minister Obiang Minister Aitaro Lobentri trigel ko respective ministers ra Korea. Ding mo put on hold sa Christmas mo January mla niya security. Yalal blabol mere ka secure na mo kora biota dong do urtir. Makadome sa after oceans mo mo start give mo do urtir local tour agents. El possibly lomo charter. Lendere kal sal mal open up pablurir. A challenge lagi de Mr. Kosole hindi kal abelam na mo mesakal directive lagi amla ease ra travel in and out. Ngigel bulul bodo through ngin merbelo amringel. Melang ako tel biotol merbelo lang am brul amringel. Self flight ngara agi de legwam el May el na open up pa Manila. Adire kal CBL open up egel traffic through those destinations. Mo momtabe sel morera bulung tokar adram rigel ngar belo lang. Terge fly through Guam. Ma igel live aboards actually maigel koram gegrel gombalil mle focus ra western market mrigel actually doing quite well at all time adi tal mringel domkorok ngel lang tergel ngara Asian market sel domes ra gidle Hong Kong ma Macau ndre kan mringel kadamula semlo sika flights el May digel return policy ra Hong Kong ma Macau masina dir mringel etitwal ngania aldadul dire kalau mengela Singapore we can market all we want nila kaskogi and karmi that's what we're working on is additional flights are United hopefully with the gel aldadul Minister Obiang amru lo mengela Singapore ma Korea and sa edal dire start flights through those ding so isil was at Taiwan at tergib atitwal leng igel restrictions tira dire kal ease for us bring they'll pass through them. I hope that helps.
So lang minister matuli.
If I could just
Yes.
add, so next week, when outreach more information about AOC that who are we expecting again numbers. And for now, and saka low ay silwas at 76 countries amla registered so far in May. 269 non-state actors. Tira kora NGOs, private sector. Mang diri kal nga niya kora ongitan lami lo silbor nga additional flights to accommodate ra. Artiran meng wal ko atim ral diom po.
Mari hari krityang. Tirgal met mo kirkir.
Itang hotel lagi da nga ngi kora ani ga ang kalik basta te alam minister mo to man.
So lang tumoke hotel. I can share this. Delegation ng Rigel am nang PPR completely.
Delegation ng Rigel.
Delegation ng Rigel am okay ra PPR. Trigam na ngusir rogir. Malditiltang. Abebira trigel youth amora desagel. Leng walking distance almora convention. Agi osi kagel hotel me the walking distance kaya tora environment magdamala sa ora promote less carbon emissions. Ngani aldo do lo bangala Paleja, Central Hotel, West Plaza, Libu, PRR. Dire kan ngani trigel guknan non-government at trigel action guk titilbuk. They're all over the place. Di trigel guk ngadala la government ang regigid al respective hotels. Ang regigel guk ngadala da magi make sure ang kadabuk or trigel heads of states.
So, mention PPR iti da blak ng silgir PPR makam hugere mo ais. Obama ang maralmay alme mo kira PPR.
For security reasons ang di ako dangay. Actually, well, personally, hindi ako nilip mong May. Maybe yung sabi adra Minister Victor ang laba yola ba aldadu.
I see.
I can tell you mo delegation ng Miguel Amora PPR.
If I may add, mention the security. Kaya le director ako ng gaya head of security OC. Cell response ra minister mutu lamral ginil waisay. Kita umrang alwase balwa mal tiya ka budol balu tiya karwa ko terrorist attack ditirgal tira togubet sel okya gargi dal may angara balul ngania way gay mang mal maring rela security gina dal make sure segi the level security mal high level of security mo tirgal mal ngarbabal af agira dal lol taw taringil lang mal ko expected til okya gargi dal may Sula.
Already follow up siya kad mal di masada artikel nga outside may tigiriga ko siyang morning ya ora briefing mo ada blu ko siya what to expect ngal ingal vinyen sa Amerika mo mo klorong mo siyang morning ya ora amora blu siya morong sira this coming weeks.
Oy, amal masawra malungin gede. Mr. Swala daw bang next week. Sige di alam presidente mo niya gagid the press conference sa Wednesday. Di sige di the week before alam bolsta tar adal mail ko rin so siya tamusta tal arrive 10th of April. Maybe even sa mga mera 9th. In next week sige di aldo bol kita mo aldo wasing what to expecting. Mara mategi di luro ring ya Bureau of Public Safety ay ko na traffic routes sila convoy pamal masal adrablo ra patients sa kami coloring ra kami ay tel ko ra malmong nila sila exercise sa gid para metal gibel si LD flow at traffic.
Okay. Last question nga kamo ra Ministry of Finance. Minister President ra idili sa mga sabel. He signed the RPPL 11-18. And part of that new law, $100,000 in more digital residency office. But it's not only for the DR office. Direct mo help para programs, revenue generating programs. Can you explain what are those programs, or what's the use of this $100,000 exactly?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Kasole, for that question. You are correct. In the recently approved bill, there was a rider for $100,000 for the Ministry of Finance to pursue some of these initiatives that we are actually undertaking right now. The money does cover some of our expenses for digital residency. It will also cover some of the expenses that we are expecting resulting out of this private bank law that Congress is approving. And we do have another initiative regarding what we think will be a stable coin for the Republic. And those all require expenses on our part that we cannot absorb internally by assigning staff. So that was our request through the President to Congress, and they granted that request for support. So that is correct what you're saying.
Malungil to tawe. Mal namobet tawrera kam la askar gulgera aligan nga kambes. Just a follow-up personal question Minister Udoy. Nga resources 100,000 and le addition lultab dile ko support total.
We at this point we believe we will collect over 100,000 from the digital residents that are applying and have been approved by the end of the fiscal year. So that more than enough covers that appropriation.
Okay. Cellular regulation mortal regulation at tele digital residency namo American gurawang ratate.
We are still drafting the regulations, as well as the other documents we need to set up the office. But yeah, that is underway.
The follow-up persel to o si Minister at mutul tiya ko rakatebel time malmukto ka atal ngarbelaw madangel programmer tiral amal di el tuntal talsis duration regal tal OC even though OC di 2 days ngari programs ra eringil about a week amang tiya wabol ka mangal program ngara ko plans lorula wa PVA malubi kang officer kawal encourage rar atrabalul marula kora utrolir ang kalang klelel el ku take advantage del crowd niya merbela ra sila kadebel time.
Sulang mlarnya a PVA actually ngol seul mo omrur sel day market. Sel day market unfortunately select الادل غانيا غاميتيل منو ثرور تريال غوك vendors normally تريال vendors a night market or maybe local vendors لغانيا مالغورا strict guidelines رنgi dia dos pe plastic dia do beto kaigel telang tingila it's an ocean conference so they'll make sure tirial vendors meet a certain criteria. I can share that with the media later. Mong sige ta koratara dorurungi agidre galmla selgonia vice president agiro lobantir tirgel adra magit mlara eungela mlara erongul ma aldadu lobangela koro state takmo el time betangara along island mong traffic is going to be between erongul ma igel hotels ngaranga mala that's probably imol basol ko kabinor order amle designated punse adal mover adra magit el more say. So we can encourage our other real mo market during that time. Malong Island is an ideal spot. Ngarat kuladao, club parking. And also mun som mo market say ka other than la PV eringi magyol ngi tambora Coro State mga permit kami. Hindi ka complicated. Kung fill a form, kabinor ako lakal with them la designator director Maggie. El gora header seguido lurior ma alakan director tewid ma el designator area kami komla tentor kami o magit mong seguida gora extend regel guk bolorula PVA ra tigel adra magit
Hindi tigil dal bolgola sa na identify til adang nga uro lobantarir ang tamo sumtamol trawa kala mga tamo ta
sel el venue ragi de la day market amo ngara madal tial mlemutul olbira glulaw el mabdula sel corner el mabdula gi de post office
mutal kapar ka
YC din swakal el mabla takat mu segi drogil area med engun mera agi de tial gym amo probably completely sealed el ditrigal adalo badge as il mor alsel it's not open to the public. Maldimor Trigel correct chivo staff. It's going to be only for because of security reasons and Trigel low badge ngania certain access al sibil moringi including al sila building. Ngania sibil mor al sila they're limiting numbers ramor al sila building ngania sibil mo soyus markukur dia. Agel amo ko makal masadra next week ngania kakrosel daw ra badges. Trigel cook head of state ngania telel emerald mel Trigel cook vendors marat.
Malay last question na
Sorry. mang tiang alsuko mang mo kora alsimel waisel ol konia minister mutul adia kabulkul waseng dia kate elet gidal adrablu mo omese oring sa aldo sel PCC cafeteria seguida wablal kora designated el se del morngi omesa waseng ral aldo amra el ra alsela plenary Michael information gidel tel or ocean se del mur o se del mur seguidi yang maya seguida bashol sa edal morning mang gagida minister mo to ulwas ng wal kuram ol si mersegi del di tirgelo batches among di sum dia ka batcher ka ing sa emal moray gagida le PCC cafeteria yang arse oreng sa omesegel al do ul momrar kirel tiagidel our ocean conference.
That's sa malak na
I get a block club say. I get a block club sale April 13, 14.
13 and 14. More yet a screen
Oo,
lang
nga
Arcel Domesay.
I see.
Okay. The last question nga kamara Minister Education del hindi na kalol kita Endra School. Maybe adin de lawan mander so. Oy, mangara ko mlakot maklil ko wangara take ra nga school el time el take the exercise na COVID ngara ko expectar na kalmaral mel buil.
Thank you for noticing I was here. That's a really good question because we are in the fourth quarter now. And as you all know, the month of May is going to be full of promotions and graduation ceremonies. Right now, we are finalizing revisions to our calendar based on what has happened in the past, particularly with the COVID. We have rescheduled our Iowa testing. That'll now be held May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. It was originally scheduled earlier. We are also rescheduling the Palau Achievement Test, which is given to graduating seniors and to 8th graders for placement purposes, and that'll be rescheduled at a later date. Beyond that, promotions and graduations will be held as the regular schedule. There'll be no change to that. So Palau High School will be graduating on May 19th, I believe, and promotions at the other schools will have the week prior to that. The main thing which we're looking at is the transition from the traditional calendar to our year-round calendar. Classes will begin on July 13th, which is earlier than what most people are accustomed to thinking of. And in order to do something, I'd like to just, if I could take a minute, let you know what's going to be forthcoming. We're becoming much more digitally oriented, and what the COVID has pointed out to us is that the very important part of education. While it's not designed in any way to replace face-to-face, we still anticipate regular face-to-face instruction. However, we are going to be incorporating more use of technology in the classrooms. We have 4 major initiatives. Number one, we have revised our entire social studies curriculum from grade kindergarten. We are beginning kindergarten this year on July 13th, but we're beginning a new revision of curriculum in the social studies all the way from kindergarten through grade 12. And in doing so, we are electing to use electronic textbooks for the upper grades. For the little ones will still be using the regular textbooks, but in the higher grades, grade 3 up, we're going with electronic books, which will have significant advantages over the traditional books. For example, if you're reading a text in your 5th grade classroom, you come across a word you don't know, you touch it, you get the dictionary definition. Also, it'll give you appropriate links in which you can then use to expand your knowledge through enrichment or repeating something over to help you understand. Those books will be sold to us as a 6-year contract. So basically, we buy them and we hold the rights to them for 6 years, which is the normal life of a textbook. So that will be a big change. We are also undergoing to have reborn the Achieve 3000 series, which we were piloting a few years ago. And we're going to be using that in all the high school classes as well as in the elementary. And what that is a system of designed to determine the reading level of each individual student and prepare materials for the classes in all the classes, social studies, science, English, be able to read at their own level and then enter into discussions and writings with students over the different grade levels. So you don't just hand a book to someone to read. They use this, and it will, based on their own individual reading score, which we are going to be taking on a daily basis, be able to determine a reading for them, which helps them understand, and then enter into a conversation with students who may be reading at a much higher level. So it's designed to help the students improve their reading as well as understand the material. The other way is we look at our achievement tests. We look at all of our content area scores are much lower than we think they should be. And one of the primary factors in those is the ability to read. So we are introducing individualized reading program, again, in all of the elementary schools, which will be coming in as a full academic course. Individualized in that the students will be able to download books into their telephone or cell phone or tablet computers, and then be able to read those at their leisure. There will be class time dedicated strictly for reading. And then at the conclusion of these, at reading the individual book, they have the option of taking an examination, which will examine their reading comprehension as well as the vocabulary. They can receive a score on that. All of that's entered into a centralized computer database, so the teachers can evaluate how they're progressing and give us a day-to-day reading on how their reading levels are going. Because currently we take a reading test in August and then one in March, which really doesn't tell us much until it's too late. So we're going to do this on an individualized basis. And finally, we are going to be introducing student record service, which is also electronic, where the teachers will have, rather than a paper grade book, they'll have an electronic grade book on their computer, in their phone, which they can enter the grades in. It will automatically be transferred into a database, which will then be used to put out progress reports, and or report cards and transcripts, which are all going to be individually designed for our schools. The advantage to this is communication at a much more rapid level, in that if a parent wants to know exactly how their child is doing at any given day, the teachers can simply send them electronically, if they have an email address, send them a photograph, basically, of their child's grades. So it says everything that's assigned, everything that's in, everything that might be missing. So they know exactly what is going on in the classroom. And that can be done at any time. The same thing with report cards. We're hoping to get as many email addresses as we can so we can send out the report cards electronically. And we have built into our calendar at the end of each quarter a records day, which we would hope all the grades would be completed by that time, and so we would be able to send the grades out within a day or two of the end of the quarter, rather than waiting for a month or two, which we're doing now due to our old system. So all of these things are designed to come in as a part of the new calendar. They're just, that's just one small part of it, but it's obviously looking to say the lessons we learned during the COVID was that, electronics are here, and we can use the technology to improve instruction. Okay. Right. Also, could I say one thing about the Oceans Conference? Because of security and traffic, we are not going to be holding classes at any of the MOE schools located in Koror. So that's J.B. Harris, Koror Elementary School, Palau High School, and Munes. They will not have face-to-face classes. They will be getting 2 days of online instruction that day. And the day after the conference, luckily we scheduled for our quarter break. So we have a break that day. Obviously, this
Good
won't
timing.
affect Peleliu, Angaur, or the Southwest Islands, or Kayango. Now, Babadap schools, we're still trying to determine whether or not we're going to be able to hold face-to-face instruction, and that'll be based on our final determination as to how many of our buses are going to be used for transportation for the conference. Okay. Thank you.
Ma'am sala Ministry of Education mal ngila report ringin gire like il kora PSL development as we go into transitional mortal year-round school. Di mal mrenga sula dalutal mo makatak lagi di lungol wasi mantia ka school egel erul club say April 14 ma 14 ang mo dia ka in person face to face ra Miyuns Elementary School, George B. Harris, may gagi dali Core Elementary School, Mapalawa High School. Okay, dia. Okay, madang malmasa. Next question.
The last one. That would be that would be it. Tingi mutra ko kawe minister at matula. Ngaringi al dado el almarael el ngara specifically ngara House of Delegates el sorry change ra sel guk to era PNMS. Tourism a klol component ra PNMS. Especially sel baseng aringi seludo del sois blogi wa tourism el niamo offset el loss el niam le result ra tella la ma kera le gorga wa se kamna mention lo se ngaria challenge ra el bulu niam le traditional market sergidal kira la restrictions ringira la tourism el merbela ndi كذا المدنية لو جا report السلم المرورة economic report المرورة graduate school ولا say قد expect را كلولو مرايل المستطرة 2023 من question as a ministry غاول نيا handle tourism ملمول ملوس أسبرا أسيسيو وسيسيو attention المو market را بلور بيلاو المراكي كده الديستنيشن اللي بقول ملمول قد قرأ دي نغرسل مني بسي egal flight tang mo sabi el mararo ingang sel do ngonya say sel expect ngi ludo dal kirel lo kiwa tourism el may obisir ka ngoriol kirel sel mutel lo sigarolel at the same level of intensity or lo ba ko qora di mingi la qora ngara say kito se halo to ngil mo sel open egel area takanta ko mas mabla other thing
Sulang, malungi lagarim. Interesting you're linking it to PNMS. That aside, effort that will stop. We are continuing to make sure more source markets that continue. Now the challenges, as I said, are flights. So we're also working with, for example, Aurelio Mangala Singapore, make sure we're on the same list. Loban Trier, Mensibira, Adril Mertengal returning Model Ngarcel quarantine list. So those are the background real Gimorulo Mangala countries. What's different from now, pre-COVID, ang aramo ko di mas asko gimo. All time everybody put up their guard. Mangarala each destination, kuk mo dadu ragay kital destination, so kami dome sa kama na drop COVID kama magina mo ngaram please kuk mo tungo ma sa mo sa so creeping for example. Ngani agel kuk kira dal adadu in the back room was consider kama matmul sa sigidal daw. Once kuk tutura gagida mo sa elas ko gin maray. Now the challenges are gidra, for example, European market, marigel ako abiot. Di alsa lang marigel marakwam al mirbela. It's one leg. A challenge are gidra trigel kuk ngara Australia, Europe, require mo 2 stops, sometimes 3. Adome serinyak mulet siya ngara adoy salmay. Ngara adoy sal marahuriping require 1 stop rahuriping kuk ngada requirements rahuriping raw el mirbela. So that's 3 requirements. Amura Korea mga sisiw, mga Australia mura Korea Taipei. So it's a matter of us working with agents and working with governments. I'll try to ease the restrictions matamo sabira adal freely travel between. I hope that to answer your question, are we going to change?
Let me clarify.
Come clarify the
maybe
question.
Adol ko is marketing strategy or narrative. You know, our selling point, of course, routes is another. Sell market, sell content. Are you changing that a little bit, or are you?
We're modifying it a little bit. Let me answer it this way. So, kita traditionally the diving market. Okay, so that's our bread and butter. Ocean type activities. So what we've been doing now, actually, Yoro Lubangala state government will develop other land-based products. For example, Kadoro Lubangala ngariya Clol grant, the Lino Rambrigel, EDA grant, and Molongaseo Adranger along Padrol Au Matoday, Edirekan ngariya parts Ramalgayo, Mabibira states, and Morrip Sigla grant. El Gora up facelift, Igel sites or tier. ma agil attractions ma signage ma agidre galorio lubangela operators of munsel monia kora other ultra agidle artifacts mara agidem. So what we're trying to do is modify the tourism more community based. سيدا one الأسبكت اللي جيم عادرين مرتال tourism. اللي جيم لام تيجي نيت سيدا other مربيلا أوبلاlang for example. This requires a training or tour guide. And that's where WIOA comes in. We're trying to align training programs on PCC because it requires training or tour guide the sites. Biota dimdul wasi bora oblalang. Hindi ka madangi kamle ka benor. Obora imlig hindi ka wan al atlas ngul mok mukam wartilang yung mosaw daringi more tourist. So it's a product development phase at ang ang trail spread out tourism more land based and not diving based. Tabre lang ulak tulu ay live aboard fully booked for the next 6 months. Lendia ka issue or other milk kill 7 days to 10 days al bakla. Agal issue quarantine adakal affected till and civil mail COVID kill another day 5 or 6 days. Hindi trigel kukti FIT may marayal trigida affected. And that's what we're trying to grow. Leng askum tamel di solil 3 days COVID and hindi kasi return for another 4 days, 5 days. And those are the kind of issues we're facing right now. In terms of the marketing, my strategy, other than building new products, we have to stick with our bread and butter, which is ocean-based. Like I said, sira COVID and batokol kong balyatilob, mostly from the Chinese market. Yeah, China direkal open. And what I'm hearing in direkal OCC for another year. I hope that kind of answers your question. We're limited right now, Rambrigel. Rambrigel is completely open. One thing we have to understand too, almost the operators are well a single market operators. Kita siloed. A difference are kita magwa mahawaya. Agwa mahawaya other kuya mira tumon. Tumura way gigi. Kita are other ngarbela lultra rakuk shabal maling shabal. They're dealing with JTB HIS. Our other Korea, they're dealing with Hana Tour. Our other Mora Marigela, for Sam's Tours, material fish and fins, Okti Mamrigel. Mundakal Sedok Murtik Mubora Shabal, and Dakal Katmokul Multra Shabal. Segi the Kora Malasim direct transition or other Mukomgarang open up services or communal direct most era other Western may avail those services. Those it's direct limitation or get our operators.
Thank you for that question. Ang kagida Minister matuon mal lo korab ngil makatakli akti malwang asulir tegi del idea diversify nga kamlo segi del discussion gila la obalang and this cultural tourism ambral gila dalo misring ilang mral kora wow not meron ko kraming segi gid information gila like al iuisen ngara ikay del obalang segi del aklobal kultiri kan Ania bread and butter and then kita tiral ko comments and diversify malin based. Thank you.
Maybe I'll add one more thing. One thing I'll give more of the governors. Amalasamal ngani sila idea mabol ngwanya one unified fee. Mabol biotra sila boringa taur orior and I can say this in temlosi ga other options er tiro malal baklan. Di whether belawa every state ngani ko ngodol luul. So we're trying to work with the governors. Mukamebol ngaya one standard SOPs edolobang matsku mung adamul albakra o charigil morang ayangaling. Hindi kalom ara each permit kalel sel mo wana permit kalel bor wana stand nganya designated mooring sites. Agel sab edo matakal sa edol murura each state. Agel lurura ongoing.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I'm sorry, Janice.
Miltitaw, Agri Kamara, Minister of Finance. Under RPPL 11-18, the responsibility of power, energy, and water administration moved to your ministry. Can you explain why? Was it necessary? And I have two questions, sorry. The other question is, can you explain the $200,000 subsidy to PPUC who are eligible under this law, and how can we qualify?
All right, thank you for the question. On the first matter regarding the move of what is previously known as PEA to the Ministry of Finance and renamed to PEWA, basically the move was more for efficiency. In the first part, the PEA is the tariff regulator for PUC when it comes to energy. We found the need for regulation, tariff regulation for water as well, which is also provided by the PPUC. So the words we use are we are creating a single regulator. So instead of PEA, it's going to be PEWA. So this is additional responsibility for PEA, the name change, and that comes with a lot of assistance to help strengthen the office, which is a very small office right now. So this will also help the office to build capacity, and moving it to the Ministry of Finance will enable this analytical capacity for this office to grow, because they will be able to tap into our existing personnel to support the activity. So this was a lot of the background for the move, and we felt that it would just create a lot more efficiencies. For instance, instead of having two regulators dealing with PUC, we have one regulator that covers both water and energy with PUC. So it's also efficient in the dealing with PUC, that they don't have to deal with two different regulators that may come up with two different ways of regulating PUC, and that also creates an inefficiency on their side. So that was a lot of the understanding that we had when we made that request. The second question, if I've answered the first one correctly, is a change, and I'm glad you brought it up. We're not ready to announce it, but they did change the eligibility requirements for the Lifeline Subsidy program. I believe that's what you're referring to. So basically, under the previous program, depending on your income, you would be able to access this subsidy, the Lifeline subsidy, which covers both energy and water. So what the Congress did was increase the income qualification. So instead of like 4,000 per person in the household, it's now like 6,000 per person. We'll announce the details later. So there are two ways of that PUC has been subsidized. One is a direct subsidy to PUC to lower the overall rate for everyone. And that means that people who can afford to pay a higher rate are also getting a benefit. It's very expensive, and our policy is that we don't support that approach. So we let PUC increase the rates, and then we provide specific assistance to those who need it most. And that's the Lifeline Subsidy program. So it was not as used previously, so we increased the threshold. So we're using the same amount of money, but we're reaching more people who need the assistance. So a targeted subsidy approach. That's our preferred policy, which OAK agreed with.
So lang ko. Namuli, lahat niya pinagyan ko the questions. Kaya, okay. So, Minister Finance, baka ano ka diyan, Mr. Abdullah, Minister of Young. Next week. Kimata ko, manom sa ko, Madam Marcel, final part tra program, sel egele birthday announcement, mga tigil celebrate the birthday alsil, sa nga niya Officer Alvin Ingraclira, Ministry of Justice, nga niya Miss Shirley Kelamalra, Ministry of Education, Miss Delisa Brigulra, Ministry of Health and Human Services. Biyo ko siya nga, kaya hindi na mitak lang. Okay, so happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear government employees. Happy birthday to you. Ako man masulang ko sige na mo press conference sa mga kuk next week sige na may President Whips Jr. Mang mo to ka ang ngil ay sa level may question sa mo si Adalo Geratir. Ako man masulang Dios lo makaltanga tarigita ro ko yung makuk next week.
Okay, always press conference seguida de mer seguida mombre kurang sulit tiga partner seguida medial ngani TMC ma Island Times ma Tabelaw ma PWFM ya kuman nom sa ro ko ya kmalulan rawil chis le ko miu kmal di mertegi de ko dio lugol mo selbitana del belam to mo ra rigit. Have a good day and thank you very much.